Hello and welcome. I'm Tomdidiot, and I will be playing this game of DAK2, which is the fifth game in the Operational Combat Series games from MMP, and I'll be playing this online against my regular OCS opponent, Tekopo. Um, if you're watching this far in the future, the spring of 2020 was when the global coronavirus crisis hit, and unfortunately, this means that we're not able to do much face-to-face gaming because we're supposed to stay at home unless we have a good reason otherwise, and unfortunately OCS does not count. So he will be playing the Italians and Germans, and I'll be playing the British. We're doing the Italian invasion start for OCS DAK, and in the Italian invasion start, it starts on the 12th of September and it goes on until November 1942. So this is a 240 game turn, which sounds very daunting, but I think the reality of the game is we'll probably spend about 2/3 or more of it doing what's called simulcast turns, which is a feature of the OCS system, and I'll get into that as we catch it. Both me and Tekopo are somewhat newbies to the OCS game series. We've both played about 5 or 6 games. I think he's played a couple more than myself. We've played Tunisia, Sicily 2. We've done some Burma, some Korea, and we've had to go to Blitzkrieg Legend, but this is our first time playing DAK2. One, keep myself sane, and two, try to give some people some form of entertainment as we play through the game. So, as the Commonwealth player is on the receiving end of the offensive, I have to do my setups first, and I've basically done that. So let's start by reviewing my fixed forces that I had to deploy in certain areas. So firstly, so this is a 6th Australian Division, which is modeled in Reluctant Enemies, and later on the Pacific. So the 6th Australian Division saw some limited action during Compass, but ended up mostly being withdrawn to go off into the Greek campaign. And once they got back, they took such heavy losses in the Greek campaign that they were basically withdrawn from the theater and ended up being sent to the Pacific to rebuild once the Japanese invaded. They had an illustrious history in the Pacific, but in terms of the desert, their involvement is mostly in Operation Compass at the end of 1940, then the Greek and Crete campaigns before they were shipped away. Up here, we can sort of see two halves of the screen. This is the Suez Canal. There's a couple of garrison units, mostly garrison artillery up there. Nothing too exciting. This is Alexandria, which will be the heart of my operations. My main supply depot is this hex of Alexandria, and therefore it's very well protected. Well, relatively speaking, given what forces I have, with units and with my only unit of Hurricanes. Just to the west of Alexandria are some Polish units. This is a Polish Carpathian Brigade, which were some of the Polish units that escaped from Poland following the Nazi and Soviet invasion in September 1939. These troops would eventually go on to form part of the Second Polish Corps and head into the Italian campaign. The Desert Air Force is mostly based here at the bases around the Delta. And these are the only modern planes that they have at the moment. Some Hurricanes, some Blenheims, and some Vickers Wellingtons. Further west is the main line of resistance. This is Mercier 2. It's about halfway between the border and Alexandria, and it will be a key railway and staging point. The 4th Indian Division starts in the game here with a brigade of the 4th New Zealand Division, and this is where my main HQ, the Western Desert Force HQ, starts the game. Mercier 2 itself has a couple of Royal Artillery units and some Egyptian Army units. as well as the airfield. And just outside are elements of the Heavy Armored Brigade of the 7th Armored Division. So this is the unit that will eventually become the 4th Armored Brigade that will fight its way through the North African campaign and end up as a armored brigade in northwestern Europe. Though notably, none of these units would actually end up as 4th Armored Brigade at the end of the game. I think 8th Hussars would end up with the 7th Armored Division. The 6th RTR and 7th Hussars would both end up with units that went to Italy. There's a unit of gladiators here that's protecting and providing a small air umbrella to stop any Italian interdiction towards Mezzometru. Out here is Sidi Barani. So this is the main Italian objective at the start of the game. The Italians need to take Sidi Barani by the end of September or start of October. I'm not 100% sure. Otherwise, they lose. I don't think that this is something that he will have particular trouble with, but it's something that I will still try to make him at least spend some resources for. So this is where the rest of the 7th Armored Division starts. You have elements of the Light Armored Brigade in terms of the 1st Royal Tank Regiment and 7th Support Group, so units from the Rifle Brigade, the King's Royal Rifle Corps, and this is the Guards unit. I believe it's a Scots Guards unit, but don't quote me on that. So these are optionally deployed. I could deploy them anywhere west of the hex row 15. I tried to deploy them in a way that will annoy him and force him to actually spend some time and resources in actually attacking them without basically just leaving them to dry. So I've placed them at fairly key railroad junctions and airfields. So Sidi Barani itself is is his main objective, so that's where I left my main supply dump. And the anti-tank guns and this French marine infantry unit are deployed on this hill that protects the main inland road that heads towards Mezzometru. So I'm basically trying to cover the two main roadways outside, and I've got a small covering force out here in Buk just to delay his push against Sidi Barani. I suspect that I will mostly just be taking these options as retreats, and that they'll basically try to do a delaying action and cause them to burn up as much supplies as possible, while I try to bring up the 4th Indian Division and the rest of 7th Armored up from Mezzometru. Facing me, he's got a fairly chunky amount of Italian units, both infantry divisions, various armor, such as these light tanks, a lot more planes, but most of them are bad. And this is Tekopo's final deployment. He gets to see what my deployment is before he finalizes his own deployment. But I expect that he'll probably send one axis of advance down to the inland road towards El Hamra, Piccadilly Circus, and off to Mezzometru, and there'll be an advance down the coastal roads through Halfaya Pass towards Buk and Sidi Barani. So overall, through the first few turns are going to be me pulling a delaying action. I don't think I'm going to be in any shape to attack, given his numerical superiority. I might have much better troops, but most of them have this little circle around them, which means that they can't be rebuilt if they die. So it's something I'll be very, very, very keen to avoid. The situation does look better as things go along, so I start to get more and more reinforcements, some excellent heavy armored regiments, such as the 7th RTR, which has a pretty beastly combat rating and armor rating. I get extra units for both the Indians and the New Zealanders, as well as more 7th Armored Division. Some more Australians arrive in early November, and I get a few more planes. So again, I will probably almost certainly be on the back foot until the end of November at the very least. So that's about it for my current thoughts. Let me know what you think. If I'm doing something incredibly stupid, should I be dropping 11th Hussars out near Sollum to try to delay them even further and actually force a fight? Should I be looking at maybe pushing these guys a bit further forward? Um, and what sort of other strategies I should be having? Hopefully, this will be the first of a series of videos. And if you enjoy it, just leave a comment. If you think that I, could improve at something, leave another comment. And hopefully we'll play this out to the bitter end. I won't be covering every single turn. It'll probably be one for every 2 or 3 turns, or maybe even more, depending on how many turns that are basically just administrative turns. So one of the big features of DAK is there's going to be huge lulls in activity where neither side thinks it's beneficial to attack. And in OCS, there's a special rule that allows both players to declare what's called a simulcast turn, and that's when you just spend your turns just moving a few troops around, moving some supplies around, not really engaging in any combat activity. So there'll be a lot of those, and covering all those turns will be exceptionally boring. So whenever we get a big set of simulcast turns, I'll probably just do one video for all of them. Uh, because I will almost certainly try to play this as much face-to-face as possible, I think it'll be unlikely for me to actually show you the actions and die rolls, but I will try to narrate the events that I see. Thanks for watching.